When my son was speaking, and I used that word with a lot of privilege, because I'm very young. So when I call people who are not too far from me age-wise as sons, it's a privilege by grace. One of the conclusions I drew when you began to speak is that one of the things that the enemy has accomplished in our midst is to alienate us from certain subjects that will give God the right of way in our lives, so that we can know everything, we can fellowship with every subject, but the ones that will make us gifts to God, will not touch them. I found out that if you journey close to the heart of God, your utterances, your outlook, your persuasions will be altered. And I think that there is no better time than now for us to begin to go back to these ancient subjects, because the last 1 month has revealed to us, and I say this as a pastor who is responsible, has revealed to us the shape of our labors, maybe over the last 30 years, that we have successfully raised Christians over whom the Christ is not Lord. And that's not a secondary reality of a believer. That's the primary reality. As a matter of fact, according to scriptures, your claims to be saved are false until Jesus becomes your Lord. Because according to the charter with which we entered into the kingdom of God, and I always like to start at this point, it is because when you study the writings of the apostles, they were not writing to the city. They were writing to the church in those locations. So there are foundational realities that qualify us to listen to the kind of instructions that Paul gave. He was writing to brethren, and because his utterances were to brethren, there were foundational realities that they shared in common. One was that there was nobody in their group that had not at one time confessed the Lordship of Jesus. He was writing to a company of saved men. So when we begin to preach consecration to a crowd, it becomes difficult for them to understand, because they have not paid or they have not settled with the qualifying factor, which is that he must first be your Lord. You can't be saved because you wished it. What brings you through the gates and gives you the status of being saved was that you met a Lord. You didn't meet a helper. And the church must understand it, that there is a shape of the Christ that saves a man. Foundationally, our introduction to the Christ is as people who were slaves under a government, and in seeking freedom from their former masters, they decided to be a slave under another government. So your confession was Lord.